Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Live with Mel. The Oversight Board has upheld Facebook's decision to suspend or ban President Trump from Facebook. Now, on January 7th of this year, Facebook decided to ban Trump from Facebook because they believe that he violated the policies that Facebook has put in place. Now, on January 7th, Facebook stated that Donald Trump used social media to incite violence during the Capitol riots, and that was the reason for this ban. Now, initially said that Trump's Facebook would be suspended for a minimum of 2 weeks, but they did not put an end date in sight. And once Facebook had decided to ban Trump from Facebook or restrict his usage of Facebook, it then went to the Oversight Board. Now, while we've been hearing a lot about this, about the Oversight Board making this decision, many people don't even know what the Oversight Board is. So who is the Oversight Board? Now, this board is made up of around 20 people. So back in 2018, Mark Zuckerberg decided that he wanted a board to be put in place to make decisions about Facebook. Now, it's an independent board, so it operates outside of Facebook, but it makes decisions on Facebook similar to the way that the Supreme Court makes decisions about the law. So this case was submitted to the Oversight Board to ensure that Facebook was following the policies. Now, this board includes political leaders, human rights activists, academics. It includes a host of people. And when it went to the board, the Oversight Board had decided, after going over data, after going over comments, after looking at everything and going over Facebook's policy, that Facebook was in the right for deciding to restrict former President Trump from using Facebook. Facebook's policies are clearly laid out, and they decided that because of the rhetoric that Donald Trump used, he had incited violence that had to deal with the Capitol riots that happened on January 6th. Now, again, the moment after the Capitol riots, the next day, Facebook put this ban in place. Now, while Facebook has put this ban in place, and while the Oversight Committee has upheld this ban, many conservatives are upset about this. Many conservatives were hoping that the Oversight Board would say that Facebook was in the wrong. Now, again, like any other company, Facebook has its own policies. And when you sign up to use Facebook, when you sign up to use any social media platform, you are putting yourself in a position where you have to agree to use their policies or obey their policies to maintain a presence on the platform. Again, this is whether it's Facebook, this is Twitter, this is any company. If you want to use their platform, you have to agree to their policies. And if you don't agree to their policies, then they ask you to leave, kindly or not so kindly or abruptly, like we saw on January 7th with former President Donald Trump. Now, again, this news has upset many, many conservatives, and many conservatives are now talking about fleeing from Facebook. And while many conservatives have already left Facebook and moved to more conservative style apps. But Jim Banks tweeted, "This is a dangerous and reckless decision and sends a clear signal to conservatives using social media. You are not welcomed here." Now, again, this is from Congressman Jim Banks. This is what he tweeted about the decision. But when you really examine what's going on, when you really examine this case, the Oversight Board didn't say we don't want conservatives here, we don't want conservative views here. When you really examine the case, the Oversight Board looked to see if former President Donald Trump violated policy. That's what the Oversight Board was here to do. They wanted to see whether the former president had violated policy, and if policy was violated, was the actions that Facebook took appropriate? Now, while other congressmen, while other conservatives are chiming in, former President Donald Trump did release a statement. He suggested that Facebook must pay the political price for suspending his accounts. And he also stated, what Facebook, Twitter, and Google has done is a total disgrace and an embarrassment to our country. Free speech has been taken away from the President of the United States because of the radical left lunatics are afraid of the truth. But the truth will come out anyway, bigger and stronger than ever before. And this was part of former President Donald Trump's statement. He was saying that, again, they must pay the political price and that they're afraid of the truth. Now, again, when we look at what the oversight board looked at, it was, did this person violate policy? And if they did violate policy, was the appropriate punishment adhered to? Now, again, the oversight board has decided that the restriction was appropriate because Donald Trump did violate policy for that platform. Now, while the oversight board has said that they're upholding this ban on former President Donald Trump, they're saying that Facebook has to decide. They now have to decide what the permanent punishment will be. So they either need to ban Trump permanently or they need to put an end date in sight. There needs to be some kind of permanence to what they're doing with the punishment. So whether it is banning Trump completely from Facebook or saying that Trump's account will be suspended until further date. Now, initially, when they put this ban in place, when they put this restriction on Donald Trump's Facebook account, they said a minimum of 2 weeks, but they didn't give an end date. They didn't say this is the maximum amount, this is how long you're going to be suspended, or if you're going to permanently be banned. So the oversight board has said, yep, you guys did a good job with suspending this account, but you have to take, within this next 6 months, you have to decide what the actual consequence is, whether there's going to be an end date or whether it is something that's going to be fully banned. Now let's go to the comments really quickly. Wade says, it's such a fine line. I like to see the Oversight Committee's report. If he did violate the policy, then yes, Facebook has the right to ban him. I don't personally agree with it, but they do have that choice. And do I still have it up? So I don't still have it up on my screen, but I do have the actual report from the Oversight Committee. And I'll go ahead and send that to you, Wade. Now, again, at the end of the day, this was because of violating policy. I know a lot of conservatives have been speaking about on Twitter right now, because of the situation, a lot of conservatives have been stating that this is the end of free speech. And I know within the United States, we do speak about free speech a lot because it is a right granted to us by the Constitution. But the understanding of free speech has really, I think, has been lost to the American public because we're constantly talking about free speech. Now, freedom of speech protects you from a tyrannical government. Freedom of speech stops the government from coming in and squashing you because you do not believe in the policies or because you speak out against the government. Freedom of speech does not give you freedom of consequences in the private sector. If you don't like something, you have the right to say it, but there will be consequences. So while freedom of speech is freedom from a tyrannical government, it's not freedom from consequences in the private sector. And then Wade says it's not a free speech issue, but people will make it one. And that is something that I see every single time there's an issue on social media. In terms of social media platforms are private companies. Some are publicly traded, but they are private entities separate from the government. And they have the ability to put their own policies in place. And as long as those policies don't violate the law, they have every right to put these policies in place. And while people can violate these policies, these private companies have the ability to put out punishments or consequences because of this is their policy. They're basically saying, hey, if you want to, this is great. This is the platform we have. You can use it, but here's a list of things that you can't do. And if you do these things that we say you can't do, then we're going to ask you to leave the platform. It's not something that hinders free speech. Because again, at the end of the day, freedom of speech protects us from tyranny. It protects us from a government coming down upon us because they don't like what we say. But it does not protect you from consequences, but from a private sector. It doesn't protect you from saying things on Facebook. You have every right to say what you want to say on Facebook, but at the end of the day, you're going to have consequences. And if you violate their policy, they have the right. They have the right to ban you. Now, President Trump was lucky because he is president and he was able to take his ban to the Oversight Committee. There are people every day who post inappropriate things on Facebook and they are banned. It's something that they put a policy in place for a reason, and it's not to hinder freedom of speech. It's to say this is what we want on the platform. Now, I know people who've been banned for less. I know people who've been banned from Facebook for jokes. But when Facebook looks at it and they say that the policy that was violated was inciting a riot, they're going to put a bigger ban on it. And even though former President Donald Trump was the president, because he was on the platform, he had to still go along with the policies put in place. So again, this is not a freedom of speech issue like Wade says. And I'm really happy that Wade says that, because it's not. This is not what freedom of speech actually means. And I think the term freedom of speech has been lost to the American people. Because again, freedom of speech is something that pertains to the government and not private sectors and not private companies and not private platforms. And then Wade says some of us do it on purpose. Yeah, the person I'm talking about who gets banned is Wade. That's who, that is who I'm talking about. Wade has been banned multiple times. So, guys, what are your thoughts about this policy? What are your thoughts about the oversight board upholding this ban on former President Trump? Now, again, conservatives are upset. Many conservatives are upset about this, and they're saying that social media does not want conservatives on this platform. Again, we had that tweet from Jim Banks that says this is dangerous and reckless decision and sends a clear signal to conservatives using social media. You are not welcome here. And then Joanna states, well, the board found that by him pushing electoral fraud, he was creating an energy to bring turmoil amongst the American people. And that is something that they talk about. Again, you can use social media, but when you have that big of a voice, like the president of the United States, people are going to follow exactly what you do. So guys, continue let me know what you guys think about the oversight board upholding this ban on Donald Trump. And also they're giving Facebook 6 months. They told Facebook they have 6 months to decide whether this ban is going to be permanent, whether they're putting a time frame on it. So the board is saying to Facebook, listen, you can't just have an arbitrary, hey, you're banned for a minimum of 2 weeks, but we don't know when the end date is. So they are telling Facebook they do need to make a permanent decision within the next 6 months. Now, if you're a conservative voice, I'd like to hear from you as well, because again, many conservatives are upset. They are upset that they feel as though they're not welcome to social media. And we're seeing it from many Republican and conservative leaders that they're saying that they do not feel welcome on these social media platforms. Now, you guys believe that the policies put in place by these social media platforms target conservatives? Do you feel as though the conservative voice is being squashed because of these policies? Because when these policies were put in place, they were put in place to make the community a safe place and an appropriate place. But many conservatives are saying that it's squashing their voice, that they're not able to say what they truly want to say. But again, social media platforms say that they are trying to stop violence from happening. They're trying to stop lies from being spread. So guys, let me know what you think. And then Joanna says, and the evidence was on January 6th. And then Jima says, I agree the ban should not be lifted because of the negative context. That was dangerous to the public. And then Joanna says, I believe Facebook was justified. Now, again, places are going to put their own policies in place. And the thing that I do want to continue to go back to, because I think it's very important to understand before this gets out of hand, that this is not a freedom of speech issue. Wade said it before earlier in the comments. I'm saying it time and time again. I want to know what your thoughts are. I want to know what your comments are. I want to know what people think. We do need to understand that this is not a freedom of speech issue. And if you go on Twitter right now, if you go speak to conservative congressmen, many people and women, many people are trying to make this a freedom of speech issue. And it's not, because this is not a tyrannical government squashing someone's voice. These are private companies who have decided these are the policies that I want to put in place, and we're going to uphold them. Whether you are Joe Schmo or whether you are the president of the United States, we're still going to uphold the policies that we put in place. And if you violate these policies, we are going to ask you to leave the platform. So Jima says, if you are inciting or agreeing with any type of violence, this should not be allowed on any social media. Now, the next question, right, and the Oversight Board did answer this in terms of inciting the violence, is, do you believe that Donald Trump incited violence? Many people do believe that Donald Trump used social media platforms to incite the violence, and that is why the bans have been put in place from Twitter, from Facebook, from these different social media platforms. Now, if conservatives wanted to argue something, it could be that Donald Trump did not incite it. But again, it has to go according to the policies of these platforms. So guys, let me know what you think in the comment section below. Let me know what your thoughts are about the Oversight Committee's decision to uphold the ban. Do you think it's fair? Do you think that conservative voices are being squashed? Or do you think that Facebook did the right thing and the Oversight Committee did the right thing? Go ahead and share your comments. Let me know what you think. Again, this is something that has been talked about for the past couple of years. Conservatives are upset. Conservatives are very upset with the way that social media is handling conservative thought leaders on the platforms. Many conservative thought leaders have been banned because they said that because these social media platforms have stated that they have violated policy. But it's the same thing. If you enter a physical establishment and you violate their policy, they're going to ask you to leave. If you go to a private school and you violate their policy, they're going to ask you to leave. Places have the right to put in their own policies. And at the end of the day, they decide what the consequences are going to be. And they decided the consequence for Donald Trump's action and for him inciting the violence, the policy was to ban or restrict his account. So guys, let me know in the comment section below. And again, whether you agree with me, that's great. Go ahead and let me know what you think. If you disagree with me, even better, let me know what you guys think. Your opinion matters, and we need to continue to have these conversations. These conversations are important, and we do need to continue to talk to each other as these things happen. So again, if you agree with me, great. If you don't agree with me, great. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. My name is Mel. I come live every single Monday through Thursday. You can watch me on Facebook, Twitter. You can listen to me on Spotify, or my favorite way, you can watch me on TV. So you can watch me on the ENSL channel on all Roku devices. So if you want to see my face on the big screen, go ahead and watch me on TV as well. And then going to the comments. So Jima says, yes, Trump did incite the riot on January 6th of 2021. This is violating policies, period. And then Joanna says, yes, he did. Whether you are Republican or Democrat, you have to be fair. So thank you guys for sharing your opinions. Thank you for sharing your opinions, because your opinions matter. And I do love when you guys tell me what you guys think. So yes, many people think that he incited the violence and that the Oversight Board and Facebook were correct. So guys, thank you so much for tuning in. Again, my name is Mel. I come live every single Monday through Thursday, and I'll see all of you guys bright and early tomorrow morning. And again, whether you were watching this live or whether you're watching the replay, let me know what you think. Your opinion matters. We don't have to agree, but it's important to have these conversations. So if you agree or disagree, let me know in the comment section below, and I will see all of you bright and early tomorrow morning. And one last comment coming in. That is from my grandmother. She tunes in every single day. Thank you so much for watching, Grandma. It says, I love today's show, and the comments are great. So guys, thank you so much for tuning in, and I will see everyone bright and early tomorrow morning. Again, let me know what you think. Drop it in the comment section below. Your opinion matters. I want to hear it, whether we agree or disagree. And this is Live with Mel.